Well, hello, everybody. Have you been doom scrolling? Are you tired of doom scrolling? Have you lost your mind while doom scrolling? Well, we can stop you from doom scrolling, but we're not going to help you find your mind because we are the squad of squirrels and we have absolutely no idea what we're doing except doom scrolling.
Okay, that was awesome. Oh, I can't wait to use that one. I was more implying, like, what the hell are we talking about? Because no prep time. You were like, hey, we're recording tomorrow. Okay.
Yep. And there's the censorship. And if you are not 18 or older, please keep doom scrolling because you're not the most appropriate people. You have been warned. So,
I mean, from how we kind of started off before you joined, yeah.
Again, what happens on Twitch is just on Twitch. Once I hit the recording button and we start, like, working a video, then it's a little...
what we do on Twitch while live, please go find us, Squad of Squirrels, easy to find, is way different than what you'll see on our YouTube or short video format because we have editing techniques to make it look like we know what we're doing.
I have
We really
absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Speaking as the editor, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Good news is we are not paying any subscription fees to do these recordings because we broke. They don't sponsor us.
Eh, that's fine. I sponsor myself, and I have problems.
Hi.
So, one of the topics that we threw out yesterday in our completely utter, hey, let's do something blast meeting on our Discord if you want. We do have a Discord channel. We are pretty much active on it if you want to drop in and come chat with us. I'm pretty sure Brad here will leave a link somewhere.
It's linked on the Twitch channel. It's linked on the YouTube channel. If you're watching this video, it's linked somewhere, dude. Like,
It's there.
somewhere floating in the video verse of this. Yeah, come drop into our Discord. We'd love to chat with you for no other reason than we got nothing better to do.
not
Especially
all of us
Josh.
are broken and stuck at home on medical leave, Josh. I wish I could.
Okay, I have nothing. No, life, broken knees. You get no life.
34.
The connection problem.
Rainy
Is Josh covering the microphone part of his phone?
Well, anyway,
No.
as we were talking about Discord, we threw out a couple ideas. Pennywise versus Freddy Krueger. Who would win?
I
was
mean,
prepared for this one, and now I'm not.
unfortunately, like I don't think that's much of a debate. I like Freddy Krueger, but Pennywise would win because Freddy Krueger's whole power is dependent on the fear of the person that he's going after, and I really doubt that Pennywise is going to be afraid of him.
Isn't Pennywise powered the exact same way, though?
Not exactly.
No. Pennywise causes fear because it makes the child taste better before he eats them.
Oh my goodness. And like,
Sit here and argue. Sit here and argue, but get in frame, goddammit!
So,
the other problem is that
yes, Freddy Krueger needs fear. So he would start doing what he did in Freddy vs. Jason and use Pennywise, who is causing fear, to kind of build fear for him and then become more powerful. Once when he's at that stage, though, where he can start manipulating things and interacting with things, Pennywise does go to sleep for a very long time.
Okay, but secondary problem here. Basically, what you need to defeat Pennywise is, like, kindness and goodness and the power of friendship. Not exactly that, but basically shit that Freddy does not have.
Anime high school girls.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, you need middle school to high school girls ready to, like, be courageous and shit.
You need the power of the shine.
But, like, Freddy doesn't, and
Did
technically, like...
they say from on the book for it that the author made...
I really wanted to stay away from that particular scene in it. There, yes, it was an orgy. We're not going to talk about that.
Nope.
But
I'm so glad I'm illiterate.
There was a ritual that they had to perform in order to go and face Pennywise. We're just not going to really touch base too much on that. But essentially, it allowed them to connect their collective shine abilities and allow them to face the entity that is Pennywise.
So
Pennywise does actually have the capability of feeling fear.
okay, but back. Okay, what?
Are all books just smut? Like,
Josh and I were recently talking about the fact that yes, Stephen King is very much smut. That's
What?
a Stephen King
Yes.
book, and Stephen King is very much smut.
I quit.
It's horror
He
smut.
literally
Fuck you
did.
guys, I quit.
Novels.
Okay, so, but back to your touching on the Freddy versus Jason bit, though. By that same merit, they could still just use the same idea, because all they ended up doing in Freddy versus Jason is they pulled Freddy out and let Jason take care of him.
Yay.
And then Jason just kind of went into the lake, like Jason does, if I remember correctly.
See, what my issue with this argument...
So, like, ultimately, I don't know. At best, I could see maybe a stalemate, but I just don't see Freddy necessarily getting anywhere. Like, again, he freaking, puts up his good fight, kills plenty of teenagers. I saw the green. But ultimately, I don't know, he's just a scare tactic. He's, the scary story, the kids... your parents are telling you, you're telling your grandchildren about, and da-da-da-da-da. Like,
Then go pop it in the night.
No, he does. He always ultimately will lose.
I think the trump card that would give Pennywise the edge is Pennywise does have the ability to make people forget him.
That'd suck.
Yeah.
The entire town of Derry, after his entire spree, when he is awake, will forget him through childhood trauma and just neglect it as an adult. Only a certain few people can actually remember Pennywise. And the only reason why the Losers Club, when they made that promise, those that left Derry, except for Mike, I want to say, who became the librarian, everyone else forgot about this promise until they got the call saying it's back. And then that's when they were starting to relive that trauma in their head. And that's when Pennywise was like, oh, hey, I got you now.
Whereas the adults in Nightmare on Elm Street choose to just ignore it. They're like, no, that never happened. Oh, it totally happened. But, we kind of murdered him, so we're just going to pretend like that never happened and that it's not our fault that he probably coming back to, like, get revenge through our children. That's totally our fault, but we're gonna pretend that didn't happen. And even in the second movie, we're gonna put you in, like, psychiatric hospitals. It never happened.
Yeah, as long as you forget Freddy, he has absolutely no power.
Yeah, and they were just, like, putting kids on medication so they couldn't dream and shit, which I'm sure wasn't terrible for anyone.
Okay, so
So I think we do have a decisive winner, but I do want to throw out one little fun fact. Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, and Ash from the Evil Dead are all set in the same universe.
Huh, I mean, Freddy versus Jason, they kind of have to somehow.
that's
This is
cool.
Freddy versus Jason, but there was supposed to be a sequel of Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. And there was actually a comic book that did link all three of them together. They are set in the same universe. So that also says that the Necronomicon is actually somewhere in...
It's just poor Josh over here. Like, whenever your
Oh.
arm gets tired, buddy, you can quit doing this number.
No, I'm good. I have my arm propped up on my knee. I have a snack. Everything's good.
But, like, I had absolutely no input on this one, and I feel kind of butthurt. So all I gotta say is I don't think Pennywise is gonna let Freddy sit there and kind of torment in the same manner he did in Freddy vs. Jason to
Jason's
get the...
not the smartest, no offense to Jason.
Yeah, like, he's not... Even Jason figured it out after a certain point. It's not gonna keep sliding, especially with someone of higher intelligence. It's about my only real input in any of this, because, again, I'm not awake enough for this one to be our first subject. Alternatively, whole other note there. Bruno, I gave you the prime opportunity. Like, I full screen Josh, and you just go statue mode, like, holding this fucking sandwich for a minute, like, oh, they're talking, I'm not gonna eat. What the fuck, dude?
Also,
I got distracted by a sandwich, man. I'm hungry.
So fucking eat. Don't just sit there while everybody's like...
Oh, buddy. But yeah, so I think that for me, I think it comes down to can Freddy Krueger get strong enough to and hold off long enough to get Pennywise to fall asleep, and then at that point, I still just think that Pennywise, being a arbiter of his own fear making and knowing the fears of everybody else, could completely counter everything Freddy has.
Well, and
So
I will fully admit that I don't have a lot of personal knowledge on Pennywise. Does he have any type of power in the dream world whatsoever, or?
I think he does.
Yes. I would say that he does. He is an entity of...
He is a shapeshifter.
The outer... It comes back to he's an outer realm being. But being the fact of the matter that he can, just by looking at you, figure out what your deepest fears are, that's the reason why he chooses the clown form. It's very deceptive to lure in children, and the fact of the matter that people find clowns unnerving.
Because he was originally a killer
It's the hidden
clown from outer space.
Uncanny Valley.
I always do the ranch. Always. Every time.
So realistically, wouldn't it just be like whoever had the... It comes down to, in terms of scaling, whoever had the most level of fear. So wouldn't it just come down to whoever had the fear first?
Kinda, but realistically, the only time that Pennywise has ever felt fear is when he dealt with the Loser Club. He's been for thousands of years.
Whoever amassed fear for power first. So, like, we're not of each other.
Fear for power?
Yeah, see, Freddy needs the fear. Though, admittably, I will admit the one caveat that technically he needs that fear to affect like humans, and I don't know if that would be the same in terms of another being kind of like him who is on another realm. I don't know if that would function the same or not. Because
Pennywise is
technically
getting that
speaking,
fear first.
When you're in the dreams, even before you're fully afraid of him, as long as like as long as you're not literally just outright like, oh haha, this is my dream, I'm gonna stab you or whatever, he still has power in the dream. But without fear, he can have no power like to get out into the real world or anything like that.
The physical world.
Like, but usually you can still technically die in the dream, even at the even the characters do at the beginning of the movie. And I think it's just less brutal. It's not like, oh, he's this person's been stabbed to pieces, but they did like die of a heart attack or something.
Yeah,
there's precedent for that.
He also started off very small, if I remember, like when he is not full power and they are not fearing him. It's very minor nightmare things that he is just causing this fear, and you have that nightmare effect where you're like, oh man, I just had this horrible dream, and you're focused on that fear, that initial fear. So yeah, it is a small thing that he would have to build up for if Pennywise was just asleep for I think it's like, what, 27 years, 20-something years?
I mean, you have some time.
Okay, so we're going to draw this one out.
It's a huge gap. But where Pennywise's fear thing is Pennywise doesn't do it for power. He literally does it as a seasoning.
So, wait.
Doesn't that mean that our ultimate problem here, though, is that, like, Pennywise would have no interest in this because he can't eat Freddy Krueger?
Probably.
If he brings him into the physical world, yeah. And Pennywise has been shown to be that strong.
But would he want to?
So, we know Freddy...
I mean, I still think Freddy might probably lose, but, like, I don't think... I have this hard time believing he'd even be interested, and I think he'd just want to steal Freddy's teenagers from him to eat them.
He doesn't actually care too much as long as he's feeding. To quote Pennywise himself, children's fear just tastes better. So... that being said, what does a fear demon taste like? What does a physical embodiment of pure fear taste like when it gets afraid?
Sour.
That could be the caveat.
Bitter.
So Pennywise might actually be very interested in eating
At least
Freddy
curious.
Krueger because he is all about the fear.
Okay.
So, ultimate answer, Pennywise probably wins, but this is a weird fucking fight. And it could take a long time.
It is going to be a very long... I think it's going to be... it's going to be a chess match, realistically. Between Pennywise and Freddy Krueger, because you do have that moment of... Sorry, I gotta switch around with my hands here. Can't really do that without squeezing toward Gaia and hurting her.
I mean, they just have fun getting a good close-up view of your beard, so I'm sure they don't mind.
But I think this is going to be one of those long, drawn-out fights that takes years. Freddy is going to be trying to manipulate Pennywise's own fear because, yes, again, he does feel it, versus Pennywise, who is now aware of this entity and aware that it's growing stronger based on his fear, to turn it around because he also knows what Freddy fears. And what happens could he actually siphon off of Freddy's own power by turning it around? It's a very long out chess game process of a fight. It's not going to be a very brutal physical fight like Michael Myers versus Freddy or Jason Voorhees, where you just have two silent slashers beating the dog piss out of each other, stabbing and hacking at each other.
If memory serves correctly, Jason won that fight.
I mean, technically, he had help from the teenagers because they chose the lesser of two evils and decided Jason was easier to deal with because at least he's a physical being, and at least they could sleep.
In the movie, it was Jason is just so physically overpowering that it's not so much that he was easier to deal with, just, hey, get him back to Crystal Lake and don't go to Crystal Lake, we'll be fine. But he can beat the ever-living dog piss out of Freddy here. He can do our job for us.
Cancer stick.
Yep, cancer.
Morning, Chairman.
But to our viewers, please don't smoke. It's not good for you. If you do smoke, I got nothing. I got nothing.
Eat the high chews to get off the nicotine crap.
I like high chews.
So are you guys done boggling this one down? Pennywise wins?
I think in the long term, like, even if it is a long, drawn-out fight, I think Pennywise is going to win. Just based on the fact of the matter that he is way higher up on the scale.
I love how I said that, like, he was going to win from the start, but somehow this still turned into a...
Well, that's the whole point of the channel. Okay,
But,
before
like,
we
were arguing for the same person.
before we finish
So what
this one
happens when the
off,
squirrels are arguing?
because I've been wanting to ask this for the last like 10 minutes or so. Freddy starts getting his power back because people forget. How?
He loses his power because people forget.
And he makes
gains
people
his
remember.
because he manipulates and torments your dreams. And then once your fear is strong enough, he can manipulate from the dream world into reality.
Okay, but
the
like,
downside is he can be grabbed, and if you are touching any part of him, like in the first movie, Nancy?
I don't think
It's been a while.
Probably. I don't know.
She grabs his and wakes up, and in reality, there's his. So she figures out that, hey, if I get woken up while I have a hold of Freddy, he comes into the real world. He loses some of his power. Because waking world doesn't have the same manipulation.
it's like the third or fourth movie. First and foremost, I don't watch horror movies. Secondly, it's been over a decade since I've watched a horror movie. He comes back because the people that like stopped him or whatever forgot. Like, he lost his power because they stopped fearing him, but he came back because they don't remember not to fear him or some...
Well, it's at that point he decided to go after their children. They had children now.
Yeah.
But there's like this blind gap of like,
so
genuinely he's forgotten, and that's how he comes back.
He kind of is a creep, and he disappears and waits for their kids because, like, that's why they killed him in the first place. The first generation killed him because he was like the diddler.
The original movie never really actually touched it glanced at it where he was going after kids.
No, did he?
It was a remake that flat out said, "Yeah, no, Freddy's Diddy.
Yeah.
Freddy is a diddler."
And so that's why they got. And so he just waits for them to have children because he doesn't want to go after the adults. They get too old.
Okay, so that's not telling me no. That may not be a yes from either of you two, but that is not a fucking no. Continuing.
So to answer your question, it was actually Jason. It was that they had forgotten him, and he had been living in this stasis in hell So he grabbed, at the very end of Jason Goes to Hell, there's a scene where he grabs Jason Voorhees' mask and drags it to hell. He re-summons the vengeful side of Jason and manipulates Jason by "Mommy wants you to kill again" to bring Jason back in Freddy versus Jason, and he's using Jason Voorhees on Elm Street to reinvigorate their fear, to bring him back, because he was living in a stasis of he existed, but he couldn't do anything because they completely forgot him, so he manipulated the surrounding to come back.
That sounds
So
like
with
some
that-
more actually overwhelming power than we're giving it credit for. Continuing, where does Pennywise stand in that exact premise? Like, what is his origin of power? Is it fear related, like, at all?
No.
Okay.
He's just a creepy shapeshifter.
And he just chooses to come back.
Pennywise is a cosmic shapeshifter. He has an arch enemy of a turtle that takes the form of a turtle, which is really prevalent. And sorry to the viewers, it's been a long time since I've actually read the books. They didn't really touch up on it in the movie, so I'm going off of a very far back memory base. But essentially, Pennywise comes to Earth in a very primitive world, and he stays dormant for like a generation, like 20-something years. He'll keep coming back, and he will feed off of people. And he found that when they are scared, there's a certain chemical of fear that brings forth this flavor that he really enjoys. So he will enact fear and keep.
So, how does Pennywise come back?
He just wakes up. It's just like a sleep. as
Yeah,
far as I know.
he just goes to sleep.
He
He hibernates.
He just comes back.
Yeah,
I'm
he
here to
just
cause havoc this time. Fuck y'all.
I'm back.
Yeah, he hibernates for a really long time, and then comes back.
You know
He
that turkey nap you take?
Dead lights.
Okay, so what took you guys 25 minutes of back and forthing different things here? I took 5 minutes to be like, I just need to know how their power exists and how they revive. You guys are like, perfect, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, the ultimate issue is at power to power there is that Pennywise is a physical being that exists on his own time and just is sleeping. Freddy Krueger is a like trans-dimensional demonic representation of fear and creepy diddly guys who got murdered and vengeance that exists solely on fear, like a creepy vampiric leech. And without that, he doesn't fully exist because he has no corporal form anymore.
Okay, so Pennywise, the winner. Simple enough. Guys disagree with us? Comment down below while you're down there. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, so that way you guys keep coming back whenever we're here arguing about this shit, and you can tell us you were wrong in your own words.
That
Next
doesn't mean
random
we'll agree with
question.
you, though.
Why
Future
the
argument.
hell, Josh, did you choose Lara Croft versus Dora?
Don't jump into the next video before I've even had a chance to start this shit, dickhead.
I'll get into that one. Because I know people are going to say, well, at the end of it, the Loser Club did defeat Pennywise. However,
I thought we
Stephen
were-
King has been writing this expanded universe for multiple books, way before the MCU ever existed. There is a book called Dreamcatcher, and it is set after the events of it. And there is
Hey,
a
more coffee. Would you hand me more coffee?
scene that Stephen King writes that does say Pennywise lives. So after the defeat of the Pennywise in it, Pennywise does come back. Or it says that he comes back in Dreamcatcher, but it was only touched upon one time. So, leave that as it will. That's just for the people down in the comments or wanting to rant and rave against me for being an idiot.
Again, like, comment, subscribe, da-da-da-da-da. We love you guys. See you in the next video. And if, again, you're watching on Twitch, you're awesome.